One of the more important thoughts that I have in my head is that my life is not put together. And I think this video is going to be helpful for anybody. Maybe you're in college, maybe you're a young professional, and you're at a moment in your time in your life where you're thinking, my life is not together. And instead of thinking about that question and how to actually get you to where you need to go to with that question, I want to take a step back and ask you, why are you actually even asking that question? What is going on in your life that makes you feel that way? And I also want you to take a step back and think about, who is it in your life that is making you feel that your life is not together? What is that about? And I want you to really think about what this actually means in terms of inside of what's going on here. And this has taken me a lot of thought and internalizing a lot. I want you to question why that belief is in your mind and where that is actually coming from. At what point in your history has somebody told you that your life is not together, or you should be doing something else? Those sort of should questions. And when that gets in your head and you start thinking about it, I want you to think about that person, whoever that is that's in your head, and I want you to really work on forgiveness, because they don't understand what they're putting you through and the emotional turmoil that's going through in their head is often stronger than the feelings that you are going through. And you have to take a step back and realize that, hey, I don't necessarily need to forgive them in the sense that you just forget it and it's disappeared, but I need to let it go. I want you to really think about what I'm saying in terms of finding the source of where that actually is. What is driving you to feel like you're not put together? And this is a feeling that I think is internalized in me for years and years and years of thinking through a lot of my profession, as a professor, but also thinking through of many things that happened when I was in high school, where I didn't have a lot of friends, and I had this sort of thought process that I can perfect myself to get to some place and to have people like me. And if I can get my life together, then everybody is gonna like me. So I want you to take some of these exercises where you go back in time and you think and you try to walk that person through that was going through those emotions, and you just try to walk them through and say, hey, you know what? Your life is actually together at this moment. Find that moment in time where that you first develop that feeling. And I want you to walk them through. I want you to imagine how you're walking them through, telling them that you're going to be okay. In fact, your life is together. You're perfectly fine. It might be just the environment is not suiting who you are at this moment, and that is okay. You might be feeling something that you might feel out of place. You might feel all of these things. I want you to go to that. I want you to really think about that. How you can change that person years ago and walk them through in terms of a third person that you're going to be okay. Now, I still have these feelings every single day. I still feel like, what am I doing here? I feel like an imposter. I feel all of those things, but now I'm a lot more open to talk about them. And I say, I'm doing okay. And I walk myself through of thinking, I'm going to get up this morning and I might have these negative emotions. I'm going to have all these things, but I'm going to walk through and I'm going to keep myself going by saying, you know what, you're perfectly fine. It looks like a mess right now and you don't know what you're doing and everything's falling apart, but you're perfectly fine as you are at this moment. So one of the things that I think about in terms of I want to get further along. So it's 2 moments of my life that I want to get further along at this moment. And this changed for me over the years. But one of them, the reciprocity project, man, oh man, I wanted to be break even so much, but it's not there at this moment. My life as a professor, I want all these publications. That's as simple as it is. And I'm not going to get there anytime soon. I'm probably never going to get there with many of these things. The reciprocity project is probably never going to be break even. But I got to come back to think about myself as I'm okay at this moment. And I'm going to walk myself through in the third person, saying, I'm actually put together and I'm doing okay. And if everything disappears at this moment and it all falls apart, I'm gonna be still fine. I want you to sort of think about this in terms of how can you know that you're gonna be completely fine. I want you to take the extreme scenario, and I love this exercise. What is the extreme scenario? So right now, I lose my house, I lose my family. I could live in a tent, and it's gonna take me a lot of working through, but I would be okay being by myself as well. A lot of working through. I'm not gonna like that in any sort of way, but I'm gonna try to work through in this worst case scenario. How am I gonna get out of this? And I'm gonna walk myself through it. So I want you to think about all of this. What is the worst case scenario that's gonna happen to you? What's that look like? And walk yourself through that and coach yourself through it, where you're just gonna say, I'm gonna do okay today, and I'm gonna take one little step. Everything's gonna fall apart, but I'm okay at this moment. Now, the other thing I want you to think about is how far you actually are from that worst case scenario. Right now, I have a loving family. I hope they love me. I love them. I have a loving family and a very supportive family. So I'm really far from that moment. Maybe not, I don't know. But I think I'm pretty far from that. And I'm also very far from living in a tent, which I think is, for me, would be a really bad scenario, but I would get by. So I'm doing okay at this moment. And I think that's important to reflect on. Are you doing okay? Are you really doing okay? If you are, it's fantastic. Keep going. Take a little step forward. You're not falling apart. You're doing some wonderful things in your life. All right, take care. And have a wonderful day. Bye.